Well, here we are on a cold day, starting out in the mid-morning. We're getting ready to take the siding off on this house, put insulation in the walls, repair underneath the windows, which you can't really see where the damage is as much because there's a storage area right there. And we're going to repair all that underneath that, in addition to taking the siding off and rebuilding the wall. We will also be putting on new siding and putting insulation in the wall. And all we're trying to do is make things better and improve for the long haul. So first thing we're probably going to end up doing is having to clean up all the leaves, because these people are very busy people. So they don't even have time to go outside in the summertime as much as they want. Busy business people. So now we're going to discuss all the things that we're going to try to do. By the way, we had a really bad time with a new sound link up with the phone, and it was not linking up properly. It was not recording properly, and ended up in just really noisy. No matter what we did, it would shut off for randomly. I got tired of messing with it. So here we are doing a voice over because I couldn't stop working. By the way, here's my favorite tool. One of my favorite ladders for sure. Anyway, this is a ladder that somebody brought to me. Said, "Hey man, I paid $25 for this. What would you give me?" I said, "I'll give you 40." He says, "Oh, I was just hoping to get my money back." "No, man, I want you to make some profit. You drove over here from the auction." So this is a folding ladder. It actually shrinks down to a small space, but look what it does. It pulls out like that, and then there's a little latch right here you got to pull up. And then you open it up like that. Ta-da! Man, that is so cool because you can slide it in the back of your car probably, or in your back bed of your truck and not have to worry about keeping the top up, or put it on top of the bed. It's really, really neat because you can take it into real tight places and around corners and furniture and everything, and you can get there. So this gives me the chance to reach up to 10 foot myself, and I can work on ceiling fans and so on. This is my stolen wife's little bitty rake, small rake. And see how it holds my 270 pounds? Well, actually, 275 maybe. Here I go. That's how that ladder works. I'm wiggling all over on it. That thing's not got any problem at all. So we're pulling all the leaves off the roof so we don't have to deal with that getting inside the wall and everything. We're going to clean out the gutter, and you'll see us do that here shortly. Now we're moving fast with the film, so we don't have to torture you terrible long. Hopefully we can share with you what's possible. And that's what most of these videos are for, is so that you can see what I've learned. And now we've got the gutter cleared out. We're going to start dismantling things so we can make them better. But that underneath the window literally moves around. When you're on the inside, it makes you feel like the windows are going to fall out. So we're going to fix that right off the bat. Here I am cleaning up, as you will see me do that many, many times. going to pull the screws out of the cable wires. It runs all the way around that corner and over to the outside corner. It's able to maintain all those clips and everything so we could put it back. Now, film slows down a bit, and I'm talking to myself right now. So I'm going to do a voice over what I was saying. Pull that upper trim off. Try to preserve it very carefully. These windows had been replaced by a contractor, but this house was built in the 50s, as you can tell by the type of siding. And the windows were sash windows, so that would be the weights were inside inside the wall. When the rope breaks, one side or the other would go up easier than the other, and so you'd end up jamming the window or having a hard time getting it. You have to hold up on one side more. So we're taking the trim off so that we can get to the siding which is underneath it. I don't know if you can notice, but the windows are moving quite a bit. So we're going to be pretty careful with it. And that's pretty rotted. But I kept it so I could cut a 2x6 to match it. Getting the old pieces of wood that were rotted up inside underneath the windows out. That's how rotted it was. Even though the paint was holding it together, you could just take your hands and pull it out. And it gets to a point where the wood's strong enough that we have a hard time pulling it out. But we do manage to get that larger piece out. And now we're getting ready to see that we have to start pulling the handrail off. Doesn't want to come off very easy because that rotted wood is not holding up to a pry bar. So I'm going to pull the quarter round that's at the very corner, holding up against the soffit, and that way we can pull the siding off, which happens to be right where we want it. It kind of breaks right there at where that quarter round is. Trying to save it. Using my head to hold the trim up. doing a voiceover of this thing, it makes me think of Keystone Cops and all those guys. They got music, have piano music playing. Now it looks like we can pull the siding off. I'm going to make a line where I'm going to cut so that I don't open up the whole house. We're fixing this one area for now. I'm taking the handrail apart so I can get to cut that line all the way down. Keeping on the pieces so we can put it back later. Which, by the way, we stained that deck later on after cleaning it all up. I think that was another time, another video. I did the metal roof, but there is no video on that. If you did, you'd see me hanging on like a cat on a roof, tin roof. I was having a hard time staying on that roof. It was really cold, and my shoes were, even though I had some really sticky shoes, I even bought some deck shoes because I was having such a hard time standing up on that roof, on the shingles even, because everything was coming apart. And the pebbles were coming off the shingles and getting under my feet, and I'd roll. And it was so cold when I was doing that roof that the soles of my shoes were not soft anymore. They were just getting hard. So I'd have to take them and get them warmed up and then get back up there again. Believe it or not. Now I kind of take an extension ladder, a cheapy extension ladder apart and drill holes in it, and I can just move it with screws, just fasten it to the shingles, and then I can go up and down that ladder and not have to worry. Now I move the other part further over so I can move the next piece, pull the screws out and move the next piece over, overlapping each other. I don't know if I probably have a video doing that on a big blue roof. I did that. So we're getting all the siding off after cutting it. As you can tell, there is no insulation in there. I used to wear, for a little while there, I wore a pedometer. And I was walking about 11 miles a day. So, there's Clay using my favorite ladder. You'll see him use it here in a minute. Now I'm trying to cut that wood down to bottom. Unfortunately, there's no electrical. No plumbing, no electrical at all. And there's Clay using the oscillating saw, which is his favorite tool. He uses that for everything. And believe me, it was kind of frustrating because I was wanting him to use other tools than that, but he likes using the oscillating saw for it. You know, to sand, to cut drywall, to cut plastic, to cut pipe, plastic pipe. It's, you know, he just likes using it. But I gotta give him credit. He gets a lot done with it. The newer one that we have, the oscillating saw by Ryobi, it does not have the trigger like it did. It now has an on-off switch on top instead of a trigger that you can let go and press whenever you want. There I am cleaning up again, so, you know, don't tell my wife, but I'm pretty good at sweeping. Well, we're still making messes that I gotta clean up. Compulsive. You'll see me do that a lot. I make messes, I clean them up. Clay's using the oscillating saw, cutting the drywall, the exterior drywall that they put up before they put the siding on. And they did the same on the inside as sort of a drywall with holes in it, so the plaster could be held inside the holes and hold it to the wall. So he's cutting that all the way across so that we can just pull that off. Getting in behind it. Using more than one pry bar. Okay. It's all about down. Now he's going to go down that area where we cut. No, I might not have cut all the way through it. He's going to clean it all up. Pull the nails out and things like that. Cut the drywall flush so that we can put plywood on it later. I spend a lot of time staring at things, I notice. I wonder if I can stop wasting time staring at things. Keep moving. But I think I got to think about things first. As you notice, those boards were really rotted and they pulled out very easily. I was concerned that the plaster would come falling down, but it did not. So we didn't have to rebuild any of the inside. Now I'm getting ready to clean up all the bottom. That is kind of rotted. So we're going to end up putting a board in there on the bottom. And it was my intention to support the beam that runs across those windows there, the header. So I will not be running a full length board all the way across underneath the windows. It will go up, 2x going all the way up. You'll see in a little bit. I'm like trying to pull that off. You gotta be careful because the windows try to move. And now, clean up again. I was trained on okay, this skipped over a little bit. He's checking on the camera. It wasn't syncing very well. We had problems with it charging and had to move it over here a little closer so you can get a closer look. And getting ready to put wood in. And this is one of my favorite construction bags. I think it's called Hall Tail. Fiberglass weave bags. You can put more in it than you can lift. Or more than two people can lift. Big old heavy duty bags. That way you can drag it to the truck like you're dragging a dead body or something. And throw it on the trailer, or with somebody else helping you, lift it up on the back of the truck sometimes, and it takes that, it gets so much weight on it. Now I'm measuring the board to go across the bottom. And shortly we'll have that put in. And we'll have the mess cleaned up. Clay's doing a good job. Now, when we use these boards, we're not using nails. We're using screws. So, here I am staring at things again. Cleaning up some more nails that were left. Shortly, we should be putting 2x under each window, and then we got to run the two longer 2x4s from the floor to the header at the top. But let's do the underneath the windows first. I'm doing a layout, I believe, here shortly on that 2x4. These things remind me of the old silent films that had pianos playing, comedy. Everybody's moving fast. All right. I don't normally get up that fast. I guess I'm getting up slower as I get older. I'm measuring for underneath the windows. Then, well, you can't see, I have this whole crew working on cutting boards. Not everything's done by me. This is not a studio type arrangement. This is not with a whole camera crew. So the circumstances never are ideal, but this is real. This is something that you guys can see how I did it. Maybe you can do it just a little differently or something, but it is something that you can do, and I encourage you to try, or at least know how it should be done. So we're getting ready. Start putting in all the boards that were taken out, the little short 2x and the two long ones through the middle. All right. Pretty soon we'll be taking off the middle whiteboard in between the two windows. But I'll have all these little boards on layout so that we can put plywood on top of it. Mind you, I had a lanyard on and everything, microphone. So putting screws, not nails. Everything's screwed together. 3-inch screws in this case. Mind you, we still didn't have any of that plaster fall off that is on the other side of those 2x. So their living room was pretty much kept the same as it was. We wouldn't have to rebuild anything, which we were hoping. Now, I guess we had a problem with the camera. And we skipped a little bit. We put the 2 2x in there, and we got everything fastened up really tight. And we're running out of daylight. And so we're going to have to get the insulation. If you see the insulation, it's sitting right there in beside that case that we moved. It was in front of the windows. And we're getting ready to put some insulation in all those gaps. And that is something that did not have any insulation in there. All right, should be seeing insulation rolled out. Yeah, there's clay. Sliding the board underneath so we don't cut the deck. I'm a little taller, so I tuck it in. He's doing a great job. Putting it up above. Now we're going to start tucking it in all the little places around the windows and everywhere there's a gap. We want to get where there has very, very little area that doesn't have insulation. So we're tucking in all those places. There's a makeshift ladder. It's hammering down nails, I think. And you're having to put up with this voiceover because that lanyard slash receiver that was supposed to kick into the camera just did not work. It ended up looking or sounding horrible. Lots of wind noise. Not so much now, but lots of noise. It just horrible recording. So you have to put up with me. So we're getting ready to probably getting ready for the next day. Now they won't have to worry about being cold as much. This is a 50s house, so it doesn't have any real insulation in the floors. And here I am saying this is a pretty good achievement. Now this is the next day. Notice location of the sun, how much brighter it is. And I think there's one more person with us. And now we're getting ready to put plywood on in this area. Massively different. Me trying to mimic that trim that was underneath the windows. I'm going to cut them out of a 2x6 and shape it so that it was similar to what it was if the trim is not any good. I believe some of it was good enough to use. All right, now we're putting the plywood on. Again with screws. Clay's cleaning up the deck because we're going to do all the rest of the siding. Which is quite a journey as you go with us through it. Shaping up nice. Little pieces hung up in there. We have to keep working it until we get it all out. I gotta say, I like doing voiceovers because my wife is going to the trouble of sitting on my lap and running the computer while I look at it. And that's always a good thing. Have her anywhere close to me. Use an 1.5 inch drywall or 1 3/4 inch drywall screws, usually 1.5 inches. Bugle headed, and you'll be hard pressed to pull it apart. By using the oscillating saw, cleaning up that wood. Wind's blowing, makes for miserable recording, audio-wise, but we're getting it done. Massively better, massively better. I think that's the final piece right there. Where there was drywall, now there's plywood. Two old guys get together talking about stories. All right, now we're going to pull the old trim off around the door so we can pull the siding off and get insulation up inside there. And we're going to put different siding on. Again, it's way more fun to tear things up. And we're trying to keep all that trim. Well, I'd like to say we're pretty talented about making things better, but we're tearing things up pretty good. Hope we're not more talented at that. Mind you, when I work with people, a lot of times the guys are working with me, they're like, I don't think it can be done that way. So most of the time it can be. They just hadn't, they know they can play devil's advocate against, and see if I can come up with a reason to reassure them. So they're just basically saying, I don't think it can be done because they need to be reassured that I know it can be done. So I think most of the work that I do are a lot of times things I've done before, but there are quite a few jobs that I haven't done before. So the thing that I deal with is the fact that I don't know that I can't do it. So if it's possible, I can think of a way, then that's what I'll do. All right, we're getting ready to pull all the siding off of that. I think that part had been insulated before. And somebody else had remodeled the kitchen before me. Of course, I spent some time upgrading it also, but this particular area I didn't spend very much time doing it. I think we put a door in and some trim around the door, and I don't remember doing anything else. I think we did a little bit of ceramic tile in there. It's not much. So now we're taking the corner trim off, and we're not going to reuse that. I end up using it on those chicken coops that my wife has now to hold wire and such. They're doing a good job of that. Just look at me. I'm making things happen with my phone. Probably somebody else has some emergency. different angle. Me trying to explain what we're doing. Now we're working over here by the other window. I believe it was a warmer day this day than the day before. But we're all still dressed pretty warm. Again, we're dealing with a cable wire running across there. Pulling the old drywall off. Exterior drywall. Hammering down the nails. Pulling the nails out. I believe it was pretty rotted out, but it didn't, it were just starting to get rotted there. It didn't totally ruin the 2x underneath that window. So the siding wasn't really doing, or the way they put the trim around the window wasn't done as good as it could have been. Maybe it wasn't maintained as well either. Cutting into the drywall there. I can't remember what the deal was with that. We were having an issue with the siding. Oh, I know what it was. We were trying to get it out. Here's Clay with the oscillating saw. There's that little ladder holding me and my 275 pounds while I run a saw. You can tell which way the wind's blowing. Getting the little pieces. Everybody keeps standing in front of the camera, including me. That's because I guess I feel like I look as good coming as I do going. Everything comes apart. We're going to end up taking that handrail apart also. That's what clay is doing. Keeping the pieces. For the handrail, that is. Taking chin locks and pulling out the nails where they don't come out very easy. Ta-da! That's that section all took out. There is some insulation in the wall. We're going to complete it all, make it all tight at some point. And we need to get plywood on the areas that we can. If you notice, we're getting afternoon sun. That was me marking where the 2x were on the frame with a pencil. I can just take my finger and wipe it off. Plastic frame. That way I know where to put the screws when the plywood covers them up. That's me messing with the lanyard. And you can tell there's quite a bit of wind. Putting the screws to the plywood. Something must be underneath that piece of plywood. Maybe some nails that need to be hammered down or pulled out. Probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock. With the sun going down around 6. Because I had those marks on that plastic window with a pencil that I can just wipe off. I can easily find those screws where they need to go. He's putting the insulation in where the few places that we didn't have insulation. Good job, Clay. I'll be thanking him tomorrow, even though he don't know what he did. I watched a video he did years ago. I'm going to thank him for all his hard work. This couple here, well, the owner or the man of the house, I've known him for must be near 20 something years, 25 maybe, and been doing work for him that long. So obviously, I'm not screwing up a whole lot. I do not claim to be perfect. If you're perfect, they tend to string you up around. If you're totally perfect, they'll hang you up. Cleaning up everything so we can get in more plywood. Hammer down all the nails. Looking good. Clean up the edges. This is me using the oscillating saw. He was getting irritated. How many times he had to go back and cut plywood over and over. I think at first they were saying, "Oh, we don't need you to go past the handrail," but I think they changed their mind. Can you get it past there? Can you get there was a plumbing pipe coming out? So yeah, I can get that inside the wall where it doesn't look like that. Oh well, then go ahead and go over to the next corner. That's kind of the way that job went. A little bit more, a little bit more. And this is day 2. Maybe day 3. I think it's day 2. Putting flashing so that the water doesn't run from the deck back to the plywood. And we'll seal that up on the edges. Then when we put the siding on it, it will run down, hit the flashing, run away from the house, not to the underneath of the siding. All right, now we're getting that plywood in. Looks good. Making progress. Probably cutting the flashing so it goes around the corner. Use an old-fashioned tar paper. Still make that stuff. Alright, so now he bent the flashing. Never enough of me. He's waiting on me to get over there and do the flashing. And you can probably notice it in the film if I hit my own finger. Step away and shake my hand. Don't do that very often anymore either. Looks like Clay's getting ready to do some caulking around the windows, seal everything up. Just a little bit better. He's actually pretty good at caulking. But, you know, the day you stop making mistakes is the day you're dead. You just try not to make a lot of mistakes. Oop, that didn't work. Finally, I get to that metal instead of stepping over it. You know, the funny thing is, it was cold enough that cows were running in the field in the background, having fun. Young cows were. Um, it was the guy that's working with me there, the bigger guy. He learns a lot by watching people. So he figures he can do what I can do if he just watches me a little bit, and then he can figure it out. It's a little bit more to what I do than just watching me one or two times. He knows it, but he did learn a lot. He did learn a lot. He's trying to do his own kind of work now. Quite a few people that used to work for me went off and tried their own repair business. Wrapping around the corner. Somebody called me. Probably the owners. I don't know if we were going to get it dried in, or maybe tell me, hey, we changed our mind. We're going to have you go ahead and go on over to the corner. So I'm on the phone hammering too. Kind of like a hunchback or something. Talking and probably wonder, why is he acting like he's straining on the phone?